What's going on, everybody? Week 11 of the NFL season has come and gone, and it's only led to some very interesting things to talk about. So we got some big games. We have a Super Bowl rematch. We have a Jets benching that we've been waiting for a long time. We got Chami Cutlets. We got Lions with the Lions having a great comeback. Lots of good stuff and lots to get into. So let's get to it. Week 11 of the NFL season, and we will look ahead to week 12. Mr. Bars the God and Hayden Nadler are with me.
Yep.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, Matt?
What up?
Hayden, what's up?
What's up, dude?
I'm good. Glad to have you.
Very
Very thankful.
I'm glad you're back because I've been ready to talk junk to your Jets. Talk to you mainly about your Jets.
Oh my God. We'll talk more. We'll talk about that.
Let's get honest with it and let's have a productive conversation. First things first, before we talk about the New York Jets, let's talk about the Super Bowl rematch that took place on Monday night. The Eagles won by a score 21-17, a battle throughout, but the Chiefs make too many mistakes. They have too many drops from their receivers, and they could not capitalize in crucial moments, leading to the Eagles winning and on top on the road. I think this game shows that the Chiefs clearly have a receiving problem. And
like I called,
the Eagles really are the best team in the NFL. And I will say I also called the Eagles to win simply because of the Manning cast curse. If there is a player who is on the Manning cast, they will lose the next week. Patrick Mahomes was on the week before. They lose to the Eagles. Trevor Lawrence was on the week before that. They get destroyed by the 49ers. So if there's any lock you have, pick a quarterback on the Manning cast or any player on the Manning cast and pick against them the following week. I did not see the Manning cast. I just watched the regular broadcast, so I don't know if there was one this week. But just food for thought. But yeah, tell me, guys, how do the Chiefs, who mostly have the same receivers as last year, with the exception of Juju is gone. He's in New England. And yeah, that's pretty it come to mind. McCall Hardman left, but he's back. And yet the Chiefs still having trouble on offense. Their defense certainly has improved, but I think the Chiefs seem more vulnerable. And even if they get a top seed in the AFC during the playoffs, they're a beatable team. The only receiver I feel you could trust is Rashid Rice, and he's barely been facilitated for whatever reason. But the Chiefs, guys, you feel they're beatable and vulnerable at this point?
I mean, yeah, I do. But that being said, this is the best defense Mahomes has had in his tenure with the Chiefs, and I feel like this is also one of the better running games he's had. So I actually feel like this is going to be a good formula come January and February. I don't really feel like this is as dominant as a team as they've had in the past. But I think some of the key elements that maybe they have been missing in the past, like a great defense and a running game, actually is going to be able to help take a load off in January. So I do believe this is still the team to beat in the AFC, despite maybe them not being as dominant. I think the strengths of this team will be able to help carry them in a cold weather game, like when they have to play. For example, like they could be versus Jacksonville, if that could be a home game for Kansas City. I think that being able to really run the ball is going to help Kansas City beat Jacksonville. And I just don't really feel like there's another team in the AFC right now that is so much head and heels above them. Miami hasn't been good versus teams over 500, so they have a weakness there. Baltimore just lost their best tight end to Mark Andrews. I mean, I like Jacksonville, but I mean, CJ Stroud, they could even lose the division to CJ Stroud and the Texans. So I think it's going to be very interesting going down. I honestly think if you're going to look at a team that maybe I think Denver is going to challenge them for the division. I think at one point, I think Denver is going to be only going to finish a game or two behind them this year. I actually love what I've seen from Denver. So, and that's actually one of the teams I think is going to sneak in the playoffs. So, Kansas City, I would still say is the favorite. Kansas City, I still say is the favorite in the AFC, but I mean that's only because I haven't been as impressed with the AFC as I thought I would be coming into the season.
I will say this. You like making wild takes. That the Broncos, man, that's a wild
look at the 5-5 teams right now. Look at the 6-4 teams right now. You're gonna tell me that you wouldn't have Russell Wilson over? Look at who's 5-5. The Indianapolis Colts are 5-5. Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4. The Browns are 7-3. You're telling me you wouldn't have Russell Wilson over all those quarterbacks of teams in the playoff chase? Las Vegas,
we gonna talk about the Steelers.
The Chargers.
Like you're
telling me you wouldn't have Russell Wilson over all those teams in the bubble right now? Because I feel like they have a significant advantage at quarterback. Russell Wilson, who's been playing like his former self, and they've won 4 straight. So
I think he got lucky in that last one. But listen, like, I don't know, that was a wild take. I will say this, right? That I knew the Chiefs were gonna go down. Like, yeah, their wide receiver core is like, subpar, but it's more than that. Then if they lose an offensive coordinator, like people were sitting there like, I don't know, was it Byron Leftwich? Like
Bieniemy was the coordinator.
Eric Bieniemy, sorry. So it's like, yeah, come on. Yeah, I'm always making you make wild takes and I always make a mistake. So it's like we're balancing out. It's like, yo, Bieniemy, they asked like, oh, was Bieniemy the offense? Yeah, he was. You kind of look at it, yeah, he was. It's a little bit more than just their wide receivers not like operating. Like the offense just isn't the same. When you kind of look at it, it's just not the same offense they've been running while he was there. So you kind of gotta give it to that. And the Eagles just played a good game. Like they started off very solid defensively. They kept them good. Valdez Scantling is a good receiver. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he's a trash receiver.
I mean, I think what the Eagles,
make a catch.
The Eagles, what they have this year, they have a legitimate running game in DeAndre Swift. Like the Eagles, like you could argue that in crunch time in the last 2 minutes of the game, Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the league right now. Like he's incredibly good, and like they're battle tested more than any other team in the league. Like in my opinion, and they're 9-1. Like all they do is they win every close game because they have Jalen Hurts who can get the tush push for a yard. There's no other team in the NFL that can really get that yard quite like the Philadelphia Eagles can.
Yeah, everyone else keeps fumbling and
with that defense. With that defense, you have a great defense. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. You have Darius Slay. Darius Slay. Like you have a lot of great players on the defensive side of the ball for Philadelphia. And Nick Sirianni's done a great job with that team. So. I mean, that being said, like in my opinion, Philadelphia is the most complete team in the league, both sides of the ball. But I mean, I think it's a credit to Philadelphia. I don't really think it's anything against Kansas City. I just think Philadelphia right now is the best team in the league and should be 10-0 had they not given up the game to the Jets. Literally, like if Jalen Hurts doesn't throw that interception, literally gifts the game to the Jets, they'd be 10-0. So, I think it's more of a juggernaut that Philadelphia Eagles are a really, really good team.
And I agree with that Philadelphia being a great team take. If we go back to the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure I said they were my top team in the NFC, and then I put the Lions up there too as a sleeper.
I mean, I'll give my top 5 teams in a little bit. I mean, it's crazy to me that 4 of my top 5 teams right now are from the NFC, and I thought the AFC was going to be the better conference. So that's what
that dynamic of the NFL.
The AFC is just like top heavy. You feel
the AFC's been a little bit of a disappointment this year. I thought it would be a little better because you figured the Bengals would be good. You figured the Bills would be a little bit better. I mean, Baltimore right now looks like the best team besides Kansas City, but
for now
they also just lost Mark Andrews and they don't really have a number 1 receiver, so they have some issues too.
And we'll see how that goes. Mark Andrews going down is a big thing for them, right? So we'll get there. But ultimately, in my take, it was just a good deal. I called the Eagles to win this. I think they went under though. They went under instead of
21 was again 21-17, right? That's the final score.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the over under on that one, man?
Off the top of my head, it was probably 44, I guess. So we just but it was close. It was as a whole, but it was close. I mean, the game was close. It didn't help with also Travis Kelce having a off game again. Without his homegirl there, special girl.
He did have a touchdown though.
Right, he did, but didn't cross the 70 mark that I thought he would get. But that's my problem. But here's the thing.
They wasn't gonna let nobody hit parlays.
For sure. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, the Eagles are unstoppable. It's gonna be really hard to beat them, and they were not intimidated whatsoever against this Chiefs team in their home, in their house. And they were able to play solid football throughout, and they were able to complete the comeback. For the Chiefs, Clearly, it might come back to haunt them if they lose a crucial game due to having receivers drop passes. And if you look at their schedule, they play the Raiders, who are a tough team clearly right now. They play them this week. Then they play the Packers on Sunday night. Then the Bills, that's not going to be an easy game. Then the Patriots, they should handle them pretty handily. Raiders again, and then the Bengals. So
Yeah,
pretty
their
easy
Kansas City
schedule.
Chiefs schedule is pretty good.
Yeah, so pretty tame for them, but we'll ultimately see what can happen. But they have to figure out what they have and see if they can make the most of it. So
the Eagles will go to the Super Bowl, pretty much. They're
pretty
out for
much.
blood this year.
No,
They're
San
out for
Fran's
blood
pretty
this year.
good though. San Fran, if they it's pretty
Health,
good. I'm being
health
honest.
is the issue with San Fran. We'll see.
But as long as they're healthy, like they stayed healthy this week, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. But
This
let's
week,
talk about a New York
keyword.
team. But before the Jets, actually, we'll talk about the New York Giants as they handled the Commanders by a score of 31-19.
That's
Tommy
an upset.
Cutlets, Tommy DeVito has a stellar 3-touchdown game, even though he was sacked 9 times. And this is off a Commanders team that lost 2 of their best pass rushers. And shows that the offensive line, no matter who's behind there, Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, or Tommy DeVito, somebody's going to get hurt. But luckily, Tommy DeVito stayed in there, and Saquon played a good game. And the Giants simply had their number and was an awesome win. Now, for all the Giants fans complaining about draft picks and winning, they were coming into this week. They were 2nd overall. Now they're 5th. Personally, you got to remember that the players are playing, and they don't care about tanking. It's the coach and that staff that take those losses either way. But I mean, as long as Tommy DeVito, I reckon that the season's not going to go anywhere. It's a nice game, nice win for the Giants. It was sweet for Tommy DeVito to win. Now, obviously people want to be overripe for some reason. I don't think Tommy DeVito's a savior or anything. Give me a couple more games of him playing really well. But regardless, it was just a fun win. And it'd be nice if they could keep the momentum up. But that's really all there is to say. The Commanders are lame duck. Ron Rivera is probably is coaching his final games there, and both teams are just ready to restart. And there's a solid football game for you bettors out there. But anything to add with the Giants?
I mean, give the Giants a little bit of credit. They're still playing for this coach. Give Tommy DeVito a little bit of credit too. I want to say he was the first quarterback in Giants history to have. I want to say what was the number? I want to say it was like 3 touchdowns or more. He has like five touchdowns more in 2 starts. Two of his first 3 starts. So that's why he's the first quarterback in Giant history to do that, which is pretty impressive considering the Giants have been around for as long. So give Tommy DeVito a little bit of credit. They could have easily just tanked him the whole season. Just said, hey, we're not playing for anything, giving up. That does say a little bit about the coaching staff and Brian Dable. So that's a good thing. It leaves a little bit of a better taste in your mouth as a Giant fan. Like I don't want to see my team, losing. I don't want to see even if I'm a Jet fan or I'm Tank, I don't want to see my team losing every game by 20 points. So at least it gives you something that, at least they're still fighting. This offense can move the ball a little bit. And Saquon Barkley is that dude. Like, in my opinion, Saquon Barkley is one of the most explosive backs in the league. So if they can just get him healthy, get a quarterback next season, you got to be a little bit happy about you got to be a little bit like, you got to give them Shane and Dable a little bit of a break because, it's year 2 under them. You have 1 playoff appearance already. You have a playoff win. So, you're going to have your bumps and bruises, but, it's good at least that they're sticking with the long term. And I think Dable and Shane should both be back. As opposed to their offensive coordinator. I don't exactly know about Kafka. But I'm just as a New York sports fan, it was good at least to see them showing some heart and fight and showing that at least Saquon can be that explosive back that he was drafted. Because I have said this numerous times. Coming out of college, Saquon Barkley was the best back I ever saw coming out of college in his first year, probably since Adrian Peterson. So hopefully he can get back to being that player.
Excellent take, Hayden, and I agree with you. I said here, even though I accepted that the season was over 2 weeks ago, that this team is still worth watching and still fighting for. That's the point of being a true fan, right? And yeah, Saquon with a great game on the ground. And I think if anything to show that with the running back position, is an offense better with a running back by committee or one solid, strong option? I think if you want to go back to the Eagles, who had a running back by committee last year, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, it only took them so far. But then having an established running back like a DeAndre Swift coming in makes a whole lot of a difference for that offense. And we could talk about the contracts disputes with Saquon, and he's on a franchise tag now. But if anything, I think he's worth the investment in the offense and give him a long-term deal.
I mean, he was much more valuable than Daniel Jones. It's not even a question last season. Like they don't win without Saquon Barkley. Like I'm sorry, you can
Clearly.
win. It was a joke. People were even saying that's Saquon Barkley, that Daniel Jones is more valuable to the Giants than Saquon Barkley was, because Saquon Barkley literally like hauled the offense last year. Like if he didn't rush for almost 1,500 yards, they would have not won. So it all has to do with Saquon. I think you can actually build if Saquon Barkley can stay healthy, I think you can build an offense around him. Actually, I believe that.
Yeah. The time will tell. Just the clock is ticking and doing quick, but solid win for the Giants and Commanders.
And I think
for a solid win for the Giants against the Commanders.
And also Ron Rivera is going to be gone next year.
Bro.
But I mean, that being said, like this is me just. I actually do think Bieniemy's done a pretty good job at the OC with the Commanders, because considering that Sam Howell's almost leading the league right now in passing, so I actually do think he's done a pretty good job. And I believe that he should get a head coaching job, Eric Bieniemy. Like I think it's ridiculous he hasn't got a job yet.
I feel like at this point, he should have got the head coaching job after this game. You look at the stats, they completely outgained the Giants, except in yards per play, which is incredible because like New York only had 292 yards of offense in total. So, sorry, when you look at it, Ron Rivera should have been fired right then and there, right after the game, because this is incredible. You literally, I mean, the GM we got to talk about the GMs too. Like somehow you let them score.
Mayhew, the GM.
Like we got to talk about it, and then
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. A very specific GM,
when you look at it
in a bit.
Penalties killed them. 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. Man,
I think just let it ride out.
It was a great game for the Giants. Good win for y'all. I'm not gonna take anything away from them boys. I will just beat down on the Commanders for this one.
Yeah, listen, Commander season's done as well. There's no way they're going to make the playoffs. Ron Rivera's a class act. Let him ride out the rest of his coaching career and then leave gracefully, and they can start with, whole new front office, got new owners, and a new day for the Commanders. So let's move on and talk about the New York Jets.
Oh my gosh, this is just
simple as this. Jets lose by a score of 34-6. Zach Wilson plays poorly.
32.
It was 32.
Sorry, excuse me. 32-6. The Bills beat the Jets 32-6. Zach Wilson did not have a good day. He's benched in the third quarter. And after the game, the coaching staff did not commit to him. And it was confirmed earlier this week that Zach Wilson is now the third string quarterback for the Jets. Tim Boyle is starting this week. Travis Simeon is his backup. Simple as that with those facts. I open the floor to the New York Jets fan here and Hayden Nadler.
I mean, it's just disgusting. But I mean, I've been saying the same thing every year. It's a putrid offense. 24-52 in 5 years at GM. I say the same thing every week. Get a new GM, get a new quarterback, get a new head coach, get a new OC, completely start over. I'm just so I can't curse in the show, but I'm so tired of this crap. I'm so tired of this crap every week, every year. It's just the same thing every year. The offense is horrific. This genius GM, I'm going to say genius in quotes, said he was going to fix the line. The line's as terrible as it ever is. The line's same thing every year. It's awful. Jets can never sustain any of these injuries. They should have had a backup plan at quarterback when Rodgers went down. You could have signed Carson Wentz. You could have signed Jameis. You could have signed Joshua Dobbs. It was about $25 billion. Andy Dalton probably. 25 other billion. There was 25 other options that were better than Zach Wilson, and to put us out with this absolute crap. And I'm not saying it's all Zach Wilson. It's not. The free agency signings have been horrendous. Dalvin Cook has been awful. Lazard can't catch a cold in Antarctica. Lazard is awful. I mean, beyond bad. They can't utilize the 5th rounder they just drafted, Izzy Abakanya, the running back. They can't utilize him either. They haven't used Jeremy Ruckert, who was another tight end they drafted. They pretty much haven't utilized any of their draft picks because we have a GM who's a moron and basically screwed up the 2020 draft, screwed up the 2021 draft, put us through a 2-14 season where they almost went 0-16 to tank for this piece of garbage at quarterback. I mean, oh my God, it's horrendous. Everything is horrendous. And it's frustrating because you have an elite level champion, not a championship level defense. I'm not going to say that, but definitely a playoff level defense. If you could move the ball a little bit. And it's just another year. It's not the defense's fault. This is the first bad game the defense had all season. The Jets have won 4 games this year, in literally which they haven't won. They haven't beaten a team from start to finish the entire season. They've won 4 games in which they literally have been gifted wins. Philly gifted them win with Jalen Hurts. Russell Wilson fumbled the ball away. They lost that game. They won that game.
The Bills.
What was the other game they won?
Week 1.
They beat Buffalo because that Josh Allen gifted us that game too. So they literally haven't beaten a team from start to finish, literally the season. Like, it's just a bad football team. It's a terrible offense. There needs to be about 5 billion things to happen for this team to win a football game, which surprisingly it has. But I mean, they're finished. Look forward to 2024. Maybe they finish the season with some pride, get a couple of wins, which would be nice. Pad the stats a little bit. Show this team. Hopefully, the defense could show that this team still cares. But I mean, we're going to be looking for a new coach. Going to be looking for a new OC, and if we have my way, which he's gotten 3 years too long, in my opinion. This terrible GM, the worst in football, in my opinion. So if it were up to me, we'd get rid of the GM, which I think he's going to stay. But
and the whole Zach Wilson part of this, it was so when we had that horrific injury with Aaron Rodgers. Some people said season's over right away. Maybe that fundamentally was true.
Well, you should have put all your eggs in a basket with a 4-year-old quarterback and no line.
Season was over.
He has no line. He's 40.
Yeah. And they couldn't have. And the most frustrating with the Josh Dobbs being traded twice for a 6th-round pick each time. It's upsetting. I can see that.
This is coming off a team that just fired your OC. Like, they were in disarray too. Like, Buffalo hasn't met expectations either. They just got rid of Dorsey, and Joe Brady looked pretty good, but I can't really say anything. Jets will probably, but honestly, people are gonna laugh when I say this. When they play Miami, that's going to be a game in which nobody expects anything from them. They'll probably keep it close because nobody expects anything. Tim Boyle will have something crazy will happen on Black Friday, but.
Dude, wouldn't that be poetic justice?
That's all I have to talk about this game. I mean, that's it.
And the last thing to add, I have to ask you. So Aaron Rodgers, we know there have been reports about him wanting to return to practice in December. There is, he goes every week on Pat McAfee.
He shouldn't return this year if he's not healthy.
Right, I agree with you. It would be a waste. And
but you got to also
got hurt again.
Draft a quarterback for his succession plan, because even if he's healthy next year, he's only giving you a year or two at most. So draft the quarterback next year.
Yeah. So adding on to those takes, the one thing I do want to ask that he was talking about was, Jets are 4-6, and he was on Pat today.
They're not out of it. I understand what he said. I understand. I'm not disagreeing. I listened to the McAfee show. Because it feels like him and Pat McAfee. I can't say what I want to say, but him and Pat McAfee are like best friends all of a sudden. So
you don't agree with him saying do you think they will put up a fight like he wants, like he was alluding to?
I think they'll win a couple of games down the stretch, maybe because they'll play someone who won't be with their quarterback, and maybe they'll win a game or two. But this is a 6-11 team, so. I'm also looking at head coaching candidates for next year. You got Ben Johnson from Detroit, the OC. They should look at.
So you do think that
candidate they're going to get? I think
they will fire Saleh with even Rodgers won't save him.
They'll fire Saleh, but they'll keep Joe Douglas. That's what I think will happen. So they're gonna I would look at like Jim Harbaugh. Take a look at. I'd interview Bieniemy from Washington. I'd interview, like I said, Harbaugh too, Ben Johnson, Bieniemy. 2 college coaches I'd look at. If you're looking at someone who really built the program from the ground up, I mean, this is a name that nobody's going to think of. People are going to say it's preposterous. I mean, suggestion is, but I would think of Willie Fritz at Tulane. Actually, he's done a really good job with that program. I would take a look at it. Maybe he can build the Jets program from the ground up. And that's really, if you're gonna look at an old name, maybe try to get like Bill Cowher out of retirement, but he's a little past his prime. But it's just not too many
It'd be
great
a
candidates
hard
for them to
convincing.
look at. So I mean, they're gonna. If I were them, I would also give a look at
If we getting Bill Cowher, he coming back
at
to the
least
Steelers.
interview like their D coordinator and their special teams coordinator, like Brant Boyer, who in my opinion have done a pretty good job there. The special teams coordinator has been pretty good, Brant Boyer, and I like Ulbrich, so at least give them an interview. But I mean, whoever they draft whoever they have a head coach is gonna have to be an offensive guy. They've never really hired an offensive guy besides Gase, and so you got to try that again.
Well, hey, it makes clear. I think Saleh will stay because he has that Rodgers factor here, and he will
after this
say.
Season, no, I don't think that, but I think they're more likely to keep Douglas than Saleh.
But hey, he himself said that, I was never been able to coach with behind a real quarterback. And, they have this, it's going to be unfortunate if Saleh is the one to blame. And the person on our graphic today is Zach Wilson, and Robert Saleh going down together. That is the picture I have this week because it is funny symbolism. But it seems at the end of the day that Joe Douglas was the one behind the scenes telling him to start Zach Wilson every week.
Joe Douglas should have been gone after 2020. He's gotten 3 extra years, but that's a whole nother conversation. But
and it's just
I'd rather
the Rodgers factor is telling Woody what to do.
I've spent too much time complaining about the Jets, so hopefully we'll talk about another team that maybe is as bad as us. So.
Well, we'll keep it moving with the Ravens and Bengals game this Thursday night. Oh, this game, if you're a Bengals fan, you are very upset. So, story coming in, Joe Burrow. Is he hurt or is he not after playing the Sunday before? On a short week, we even saw him with a wrist brace on his wrists. And it turned out that in the game against the Ravens, he tore a ligament in his wrist. Season's over. Pretty much season's over despite being 5-5. Browning, God bless him, putting up some of a fight, but I don't think he's able to take this team to the next level. And you have the Ravens scoring 34 points. Lamar Jackson being stellar in the pocket. But as Hayden mentioned, this team is very, very good despite some holes. But can they overcome those holes like figuring out who the number one receiver is? Zay Flowers is good, but he doesn't really score touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr. has been
what they're gonna have to do is rely on Gus Edwards to run the ball, and they're gonna have to rely on that running game. They're gonna have to, Lamar Jackson's gonna have to mistake-free football, which throughout his entire career, he's done a really good job. Like when Lamar Jackson's healthy, like all this team does is win. Like I've been saying it. I've been saying it for years. Like Lamar Jackson's probably, I think he's the most underrated passer in the league. I actually think he's a really good passer. Like that's a difference between me and Ronaldo. We used to have a little bit. That's one thing I will say. I think he's wrong on that. I actually think like Lamar Jackson's a really good passer. Like he can fit in those tight windows. Like he does a great job taking care of the ball. He understands his role in the offense, and like there's no reason why Baltimore this year, especially this year, can't win the AFC. Do I think they're going to go into Arrowhead and win that play Kansas City? Do I think they could beat Arrowhead with that great defense in Kansas City? I would be inclined to say no. But that being said, this is in my opinion the best year they've had to get to the Super Bowl since that 14-2 year with Lamar and when he won MVP. Because I do feel like in a contract year, Lamar Jackson has been awesome, and you can always rely on their run game. You can always rely on Lamar Jackson to move the ball. And what I think is really honestly a difference maker, which a lot of teams aren't really realizing, you have one of the best kickers on the planet in Justin Tucker at the end of a game who can make a kick. So
if not the best.
So those are things I think going in Baltimore's favor. Do I think a number one receiver is going to have to step up? Yes, I do. Zay Flowers is going to have to play. OBJ started to come on a little bit. I want to say he had a 100-yard receiving game recently. So it's actually good that he's starting to come along.
And he's scoring touchdowns too.
Yeah, they're going to be dangerous. I think the backup tight end is going to have to produce a little. He's not going to be Mark Andrews. Placing Mark Andrews is really tough, but I definitely like what I've seen from Baltimore. And I think Cincinnati, unfortunately, just with Jake Browning at quarterback, is going to have a tough time.
Yeah, it's cut their losses. I mean, it's not going to happen this year. And like you said, they were a Super Bowl favorite coming into this, and it is what it is. Now, Bars, what is your take on these two franchises right here, right now?
I mean, first of all, injury sucks. Sucks for Joe Burrow. The Ravens, they're wishy-washy, man. I won't lie to you. Not even because I'm a Steelers fan. It's just because it is what it is. Lamar is an exceptional passer. He is. And their biggest strength is running the ball. But once they get the ball running, they need that receiver like a Mark Andrews who just went down. So both teams suffer an injury. Both injuries are critical to them winning the playoffs or to them making the playoffs, in my opinion. Or if, well, I think the Bengals making the playoffs is few and far between at this point. But at least for the Ravens, they can make the playoffs, but their sustainability in the playoffs will come around to that injury in itself, because like we just talked about, Zay Flowers is good.
This is what you're not mentioning. What teams in the AFC right now really have a number one? Like Jacksonville, I mean, you could say Calvin Ridley maybe is a number one, but Kansas City certainly doesn't have that. If you want to say Miami maybe with Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill hasn't proven they haven't proven they could beat a team over 500. And Buffalo's inconsistent. Let's say even Buffalo makes the playoffs, like Buffalo may miss.
We'll see what's good with Miami.
So like,
we'll see what's good with Miami when we get there.
The teams right now, I mean, is Kansas City really is Baltimore really in that much different of a position than Kansas City right now?
I think if they play Kansas City would tear that up. I really would. That's the difference. I think because more so of like the type of team Kansas City is, though. Like they almost won that game against the Eagles. We like Valdez-Scantling makes that catch. It's a different conversation we have today. You feel what I'm saying? So
I mean, you're ultimately going to say that because of Mahomes, but let's say Mahomes isn't on like Mahomes like level. They're a little bit of a they're I would still take
we not having this conversation.
Mahomes is that dude. I do believe Mahomes is that dude. But and I'm not sold on Miami beating teams over 500. I'm not sold on that quite yet. If Miami can do that a little bit down the stretch, it may be a different conversation. But right now, I think Baltimore has a lot of the same issues that some of these other playoff teams do. And I feel like they're a little bit more consistent in that they have a lot of continuity on offense, and with that running game that they can make a
listen. Ultimately, attrition and injury will be the downfall of all these teams. But mainly right now for that Ravens receiving core, they just lost a big piece. Legitimately.
Yeah, definitely.
And ain't no one showed that they can step up.
That's definitely a big grind,
but he got to do more because he's a Super Bowl champion. He's supposed to be one on that team. Like, yo, listen, I've done this. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Like, you should be getting that receiving core tight. You should be mentoring Zay Flowers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just my take on it.
But remember, there's still a lot of season left to play. But I think the Ravens are in a really good spot.
They're in a good place right now. They're in a really good place. But let's
I really think they're going to get better.
Do with that in the long run.
And I think they're going to play much better with that. You have a Super Bowl winning coach behind them, remember, and somebody who's taken some much weaker teams to deep runs. So,
correct.
Go Baltimore, go. That's what I have to say to that. And the Bengals will be doing with the name
coming up. The Dolphins. That's what we should talk about.
We can get into that right here, right now. Okay. We had the Miami Dolphins play the Las Vegas Raiders this past week. This Raiders, the spread coming into this game was 14 points. And the Raiders came in and played a heck of a game. Even though they just fell short, the Raiders were able to pull it off. And the Dolphins were able to pull it off. This time, not from their speedy receivers, but it was their defense that stepped up. With Jalen Ramsey having 2 crucial interceptions, including a game-winning one. It was very exciting to see. But hey, little too close for comfort for Miami. And Achane did return to the game. He did return. He had a cameo appearance. He only had one playing, got hurt again. Not put on the IR. He may come back as early as this week. Probably banking more next week if it's not as serious as they projected. But Miami, though, pulling off the victory, you can't be that confident coming into it, as mentioned before by Hayden. They are winless against 500 teams above 500, and they know how to handle bad teams. And clearly, a team that's right at 500, they were struggling against them.
I mean, like you got to beat who's on your schedule, and like Miami's done a pretty good job. They've beaten the teams that are on their schedule. Like they're 7-3. You can't fault them for that. I mean, they play the Jets. The next 4 games are the Jets twice, the Commanders, and the Titans. So they should win probably 75% or more of those games. They should, in all seriousness. So I mean, you win 3 of those 4 games, you're at 10 wins right there. It's probably going to be enough to get you into the playoffs. So Miami's a playoff team this year for sure. They have a lot of speed on offense, assuming Achane's healthy. Raheem Mostert can run the ball. You still got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Don't love exactly what I've seen from the tight end position, but I also think Tua Tagovailoa actually has been actually awesome when he's been on the field, and I like what they're doing with Mike McDaniel. So I mean, it's kind of really hard to evaluate Miami because I haven't really played anyone. I think we'll see at the end of the season when they play the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills. We'll see what they're really made of. If they can hang around with those teams, that will give you a good sense of how the team really can compete. But I mean, like I said, you got to beat who's on your schedule, and that's all Miami can really do. It's good to see Tua Tagovailoa playing at an MVP level when he's been healthy the last 2 years. I think that's an indictment on Mike McDaniel. He's done a great job as head coach. It's also good to see that their defense played well versus the Raiders. That being said, they have Aiden O'Connell, who's not exactly a Tom Brady or Mahomes level type of quarterback, so it's kind of hard to really evaluate that. And they're going to be playing a bunch of, I don't want to say shitty, but I mean a bunch of crappy quarterbacks coming up. So it's going to be really hard to see. It's going to be hard to see how good they really are, but we'll see. That's all I really have to say about this game. There's not really that much to say. Oakland, the Raiders are a team that's without a quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. They're with a new head coach and on the interim basis, Antonio Pierce. So there's not really much to really evaluate about this game. So that's all I have to say.
I pretty much agree with his take too. I do like what I saw, little sparks from the Raiders offense. Antonio Pierce definitely got them in the right direction. I will say I pretty much agree with your entire take on that one, man. Like I can't really find an argument in that. I think that Tua Tagovailoa looks way better than he did last year. He looks like last year he was poised, but taking those couple of hits, I figured and all that talk, he knows what to do now.
I mean, the one I will say that maybe people aren't realizing is that Miami's a hot weather team, and when they have to go, if they're gonna have to go to a Kansas City or a Baltimore playing in the cold. With Tua, that could be actually an area of weakness. Like same thing with Jacksonville too. Like these hot weather teams, they don't really play as well in the cold, so that could be an issue moving forward in the season. But I mean, coming up, they have the Titans, the Jets, and the Cowboys all at home, and then Washington they're going to be playing at the Commanders. That's going to be a cold weather game, and Baltimore on 12/31. So it really depends if they're playing at home versus away.
And they could win 3 out of 4 of those games reasonably if they're actually playing.
Yeah, so. I agree with that.
I got in the AFC, I got the Dolphins being a sneaky pick. You know what I'm saying?
Like I'm still taking Kansas City because of Mahomes. That's what I'd still take. But I agree, Kansas City's probably not as good as they were last year. But there's just no one. There's no one in my opinion who doesn't have flaws in the AFC. So it's going to be tough to say.
That's correct. Top heavy. They're very top heavy.
Like I said, my top four of my 5 teams right now are in the NFC. I got Dallas, Detroit, San Fran, and Philly as my top 5 teams. So
So let's talk about the Browns and the Steelers. Deshaun Watson was announced earlier this past week that he will not be playing for the rest of the season due to a shoulder injury.
This game was infuriating for a Jet fan. I'll talk about it a little bit after you
got it. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came back and he led the Browns at home to another victory, and he led them to a walk-off field goal. Now they did sign Joe Flacco. There's been rumors maybe even Tannehill gets cut and the Browns pick him up if they want to do a little Madden action there. But regardless, very tight game. DTR played well. The Steelers were not making much noise on offense, and it also shows how stellar this Browns defense really is. And in this game as well, I'm starting to think, is Kenny Pickett really going to be the guy on the Steelers? I still think he has a long way to go, but he's not showing me anything on why I should believe he is a franchise quarterback. So why don't we talk to the Steelers fan in this chat and explain to us how you felt about this game and, difficult loss on the road.
I will say, like, any loss on the road is crazy. It's a tough loss, divisional loss. Let me get my Mike Tomlin Tuesday on real quick. You know what I'm saying? It was a tough loss. They got in our they made some exceptional plays. Our defense is really banged up. I will say that. But the elephant in the room, right? For all my Steelers fans, right? The praises, all the talks. They said it wouldn't happen, but it did. And we got rid of Canada because this is America.
Yes, that's
And we
right. It
don't
was
need that
announced
over
this
here.
week that they fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada.
For Wretch, we don't need that. We like Matt, but we don't like Canada. This is America. We're Steelers. You feel me? Like, okay, theatrics aside, it was a horrible game, but not completely offensively horrible. It was more so, all right, that at some point the Pittsburgh tried, the Steelers tried a QB sneak, right? Kenny Pickett you could clearly see the padding on his ribs. He's still suffering a rib injury, I think, from that Titans game. So, with that being said, and he showed really good glimpses when he's not injured. And when that offense actually opens up and does what it has to do, Kenny shows that he can win them games. I don't need Kenny to be this blowout quarterback. I need him to manage the game. They need to run the offense, right? And he needs to throw the ball certain occasions, score touchdowns, manage, win, don't turn over the ball, right? And Kenny can prove when he's healthy, he can do that. When the offense isn't making stupid plays, he can do that. When he has, I feel like this entire time, I'm just going on a little tirade real quick, but I have to. This entire time, they have not trusted him with the keys to that offense. It's like Matt Canada's been like, it's my offense. Like, that's just what it been. And it kind of felt like that when Ben was still there. Ben kind of had his problem with Matt Canada. And it's kind of like, like we're doing all these dip and dunks, and he's looking like Ben can't throw the ball. Ben still had an arm. Yeah, he came back from surgery. So, yeah, the dip and dunks were to compensate for that. But after that, work your boy out. Don't put him in the game right away. Now when he's healthy, have him sling the rock. No deep plays. I literally went on Pittsburgh Steelers Twitter, and I wrote a letter as a fan, and I said, please bring back the Killer Bees offense, the playbook. Bring it back. Spread them out. Send them through the ash. Send them to the numbers. Air the ball out like you got Juju still on the team covering. So Antonio Gates is Antonio Brown. Listen, I am flustered talking about this because it's enraging to watch literally your offense look like it doesn't know what's going on out there. You literally see Kenny Pickett getting swarmed by 3 to 4 Browns on one play. I don't care if it's a screen. Like, who designed this? What is this? Like a second grader? Like, I say all this to say, we handle rookies as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look at the record. We take care of rookie quarterbacks. Twice this year, we have gone down to rookie quarterbacks. One of them is exceptionally well, plays exceptional. The second one, I don't even know who the guy. Who? I don't even know who
Dorian
the guy was.
Thompson. He's a guy from UCLA. He's a fifth rounder.
Hey, look, we got washed. Not even in a bad way, but I count this as a wash because we got owned. Like when you look at DTR play, DTR was playing exceptional for a rookie. Actually, like not even like that he was chucking it crazy down the field. But it's more like the plays that he were making that were smart were good.
He's a poised quarterback, and he's not afraid of staying in that pocket. And a lot of respect to him. And, as you're moving bars with this, I understand your frustration seeing a team that I do think is better than they thought, but I don't know.
As a Jets fan, this game was infuriating too. Because if you had even competent quarterback play, this team is 7-3. The Cleveland Browns are 7-3 with PJ Walker and this guy who can't even throw for more than 170 yards. And the fact that the Jets can't get anything, even competent quarterback play, they would have been 6-4. Or they could have actually had a legit chance at the playoffs with that defense. And then we're 4-6 because of the crap we have at offense. And even this offense is terrible. I'm sorry, the Browns offense is terrible. And they're 7-3.
Elijah Moore's not
they're terrible.
impressing you.
The Steelers offense is terrible too when they're 6-4. And the fact that we could have even had sort of a competent quarterback, we could have won 2 or 3 more games.
So Steelers just don't turn over.
Infuriating as a Jet fan, because we're out of it at 4-6. Jets are out of it. They're like, it's just when you see the Browns winning games with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, nothing against the guy, he's fine. But like, he's not very good either. Like I'm sorry.
I reiterate, who? Like, yo, like
that's.
Yeah. I will say this: to see a Jets fan be infuriated at a Steelers game that he wasn't even involved in is elation. But I will.
It's not elation. It's just we're seeing what my team could have been. The fact that you're 7-3 with that quarterback and PJ Walker, and the fact that we're this bad with the second overall pick, like it's frustrating.
And it's like, yo, it's madness because it's like, yo, look at this kid come in. He seems more poised than Kenny. I will say that Kenny needs to.
Well, Kenny needs better coaching.
And I did write a letter to Kenny too. I wrote a letter to Kenny. If I gotta stick these screenshots and send them to you so you can put it up for the reels, I wrote a letter to Kenny too. I told him, don't listen to all the noise, man. Just keep going and play. And if you injured, you know what? Kudos to you for playing through it. Literally, sometimes you just need words of encouragement. And I hope those words, maybe they didn't, but if they got to him, yo, next week, Kenny, when you throw that ball to George Pickens, make sure he gets a deep ball. When you throw that ball, you get that touchdown, and you finally break, I don't know, whatever it is, your best game ever, make sure you look in that camera and you say, thanks, Bars.
Man, how can he not be inspired after that? Yeah. At the end of the day, the franchises are all dictated by those decision makers. And it seems like the Browns, Jets, and Lions were all intertwined with each other for a little bit as being incompetent franchises. And what do we see from an improved general manager with the Lions? They are 8-2 right now. They have a lot of promise. Sure, anything can happen, but they were able to draft right.
I mean, and the Browns have a good coach too. Stefanski's a good coach.
True. So, and the Browns picked the right coaches to Stefanski. The Jets didn't in Robert Saleh. And, also obviously the Lions and Dan Campbell, that's somebody anybody wants to play for. But football is the most cruel sport of them all. But it's also, it shows who's really about it. We talk about attrition here, but something it is easy on paper how to fix it, but it's hard to implement it clearly.
Right.
I don't know. Oh, well, but at least for the Browns and Steelers, they do have some hope technically in the standings, and we'll see where they go here. But speaking of the Lions, now they actually struggled against the Bears in a returning Justin Fields. They were down by 12 points with 4 minutes left in the game, and they stormed back to get the victory thanks to turnovers on defense. And Jahmyr Gibbs, finally, he obviously a slow start to the season, got playing time restricted from him, and he's come in and stepped up and being the high draft pick that they expect him to be. And the Lions really had some bad stretches, and the Bears with the returning Fields didn't stop them. And very impressive win for Detroit. And they kept it real on defense. And now moving forward, the Lions have a really easy schedule for the rest of the season. If you don't mind me reading it real quick, here's the Detroit Lions schedule coming into the next in the final 6 weeks of the season. You have the Packers on Thanksgiving, 12:30. I think they will finally be able to have their number. They play the Saints, who have been on a downfall lately. They play the Bears, who reckon they did play them hard this past week. I do think the Lions will not allow that to happen again. Broncos could be a difficult game. So far, the game's actually to be determined, so it might even get flex. Then you play a Vikings team, which is tough too, and then the Cowboys. So about half and half than what I said before. So excuse me on that. I got confused. But the Lions, regardless of the Lions, are a better team in most of these matchups anyway. So this is a really good team. I mean, not much to talk about the Bears. We know that they're rebuilding. They have the number 1 overall pick at the moment. And so that's all I have to say about the Bears. good to see Justin Fields putting in an effort. But the Lions, guys, nice comeback victory.
It's Jared Goff. You know what I'm
There's
saying?
not
Like,
much to really say about that. It's a
basically, like,
resilient team.
sometimes he'll surprise me, sometimes he'll let me down. But hey, honestly, when you stop and look at it, it was a really good game. That defense got some sleepers on it. That's how I look at it. They got good coaching, like you said. You change a couple things in the front office, and everything flips around for y'all.
I mean, there's not really much to say about this game. I mean, at the end of the day, Detroit made the plays to win the game. They will be a playoff team. They probably will win the division, which is a big thing considering the last time they won a division. I want to say it was 1992, I believe. Yeah, 92 was, or 92 or 93 was the last time the Detroit Lions won the division. So it's going to be really cool at the fact that they're finally good, Detroit. So I mean, there's not really that much to say about that game. I mean, they're an 8-2 team. I have them as one of the best 5 teams in the NFL right now. I'm thinking I could stop it. Kudos to them. And then they'll win their next game and keep going, and hopefully they can win a game in the playoffs. So they're going to be a tough team to beat. They got a good coaching. They got a good coach. They got a good coach, a good quarterback. Jameer Gibbs can run the ball. They got a good pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson. So they got a lot of things going. And good to see Justin Fields play well in his return. Hopefully he gets the right organization and gets out of the Bears. So not really that much else to say. So.
Hey, that's all you got to say sometimes. A good team is a good team and fun to watch. And Jared Goff, at least this season, showing, you know what, I am going to make the Los Angeles Rams regret trading me to Detroit,
I mean,
Michigan.
He made the Pro Bowl last year. I mean, he's, I want to say he's like, what are they? They went 9-8 last year. They're 8-2 right now. So I mean, it's like 17-10. His last 27 games. So it's pretty good.
Pretty good. The Packers and the Chargers. Oh, here's something I want to talk about here, right? So, gut-wrenching loss for the Chargers as the Packers have a huge comeback victory. The Chargers are clearly going to make a change at head coach. Brandon Stanley had some very choice words in his press conference coming at the fans, which, as soon as you fight the fans, it's over for you. You are on death row at that point. You're going to lose your job. The Chargers clearly had bad drops on offense. Jordan Love was that dude on Sunday, even with an injured Aaron Jones, still composed in Lambeau. And yeah, here's the thing. I have some quotes with Stanley. That's the thing. I mean, we talk about Stanley for 2 years now and the issues he's had. He says, quoted the press conference after the game, "Stop asking me about the defense. I'm calling the plays. I'm not talking to the fans." And yeah, I think he knows. And I've said I think Bill Belichick should be the person to take over the Chargers, but we still have weeks that we could talk about that. But man, this is going to be a frustrating season if the Chargers at least don't make the playoffs. You were supposed to win this game against the Packers. Awful loss for them.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. I mean, it must be frustrating as a Chargers fan to see this head coach who's clearly above his water. What's the phrase? Like a fish out. What's the phrase? Fish out of water.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water.
Yeah. This head coach is just not the guy. They need to go a different direction. Not really that much else to say for this game. I mean, it must be infuriating having that much talent on both sides of the ball and still being this bad. In other ways, it's they have Justin Herbert, who they're wasting a potentially very, very talented quarterback. Eckler. They just need a different voice, in my opinion. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. Interestingly enough, Green Bay is only a game and a half out of the 7th seed, and they're in the same division as Minnesota, so they're going to be playing each other. That is a team to watch at the end of the season. Minnesota's 6-5, Seattle 6-4. Like that 7th spot, nobody seems to want to grab it in the NFC. So if Green Bay wins a game or two, they're right back in it. So that's actually something that's interesting. I want to say they play Detroit this week, so let's say Green Bay wins that game versus Detroit. And then they have a pretty tough schedule coming up, but they play Detroit, they play Kansas City, the Giants, Buccaneers, Panthers, the Vikings, the Bears. Got a lot of winnable games there for Green Bay, so they could get to 8 or 9 wins. It's just a team you want to be looking out for. Jordan Love has actually, for his rookie year and the first really time in extended playing time, it's not his rookie year, but the first time he's getting extended playing time, hasn't been terrible. You got to be happy at some of what you've seen from Jordan Love. It's not been horrifically bad. So, in a conference where the 7th seed is wide open right now, the last playoff spot's wide open, nobody seems to want to gain it, and Minnesota's still playing with Josh Dobbs. Something to look out for. Not trying to blow too much smoke up on the Green Bay Packers, but that's all I really have to say in that game.
Yo, bad beat for Chargers, man. Tired of it. Like, we got to put them on the hot seat. Like, they let too many games go. This was a game that they clearly should have won. They should have outclassed this team, legitimately, on offense and defense. Bad beat.
And you got to catch that. You got to catch that ball if you're Quentin Johnson. You got to catch the ball.
It is what it is, man. There's not really much for me to say about that. Like Matt said, you attack the fans. You basically put yourself like out to pasture. Like, so it is what it is for him.
It's just with that 7th spot in the NFC, like nobody seems to want to claim it. So it's like I'm just looking at the teams right now that are competing for it. Like it's pretty bad right now. Like probably 8 or 9 wins is going to get it. So I mean, one of these teams, I'm not putting it past Minnesota to maybe lose some games with Joshua Dobbs, like a new quarterback. Like they're not invincible. Like nobody's out of it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But just keep an eye on that. Like one of these teams coming up is going to contend for the 7th spot. So it could be Green Bay, could be the Rams. So that's really about it.
Not much to talk about with this next game. The Cowboys defeated the Panthers 33-10. We expected this. Darren Bland, though, getting his 4th pick 6 of the season after taking over for Trayvon Diggs after his injury in practice, season-ending ACL injury. The Cowboys really might be a force to be reckoned with. As long as Dak Prescott doesn't make stupid mistakes and he beats teams like the Carolina Panthers, who are a mess right now, the Cowboys are going to be a very tough team. Only could be a matter of time if they blow it, though.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead, I'll let you go.
As the season progresses, that is.
I mean, Dallas. I mean, you have Deron Bland. He could be a defensive player of the year right now. 4 pick 6. That's pretty impressive. And you also have Micah Parsons. So definitely some talent on the Dallas side of the ball. I mean, I don't really have much to say. That one is pretty awful, but it's nice to see Dak Prescott at least fun. I'll let you know.
All good, Hayden. Is there something? I can't hear the rest of your take. Is everything good?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now. But yeah, like I said, this is just a beatdown. That's it. Why don't we just move on, honestly? Broncos versus the Vikings, which was actually a pretty dope battle on Sunday night. And respect for the Pastronaut and Joshua Dobbs for keeping it close. But the Vikings come up just short from a big comeback. It's going to come up just short after the Broncos have a huge comeback and keep their winning streak up to 4 games. And Russell Wilson has really improved and getting another 4th quarter comeback on his belt. One thing to talk about, Hayden, if you want to expand that a little more, maybe the Broncos are a sneaky team in this division, or at least getting a playoff spot and see if they can do damage from there.
I do. I actually think that I think there's a very good chance they could get the last spot in the AFC at 5-5. I'm looking at the rest of the AFC right now. Of the teams that are 5-5, you have the Indianapolis Colts, you have the Bengals, the Raiders, you have the Jets, the Patriots, all those teams. Pittsburgh's Kenny Pickett is awful. They're 6-4. Buffalo has been inconsistent, and they have the head-to-head because they already beat. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I think it goes by conference record. So Denver right now would have the head-to-head over Buffalo because they beat them head-to-head, and they have a better conference record. So I mean, I don't see why Denver can't get that last spot. Like I don't see why not. Like I think Russell Wilson's playing at almost an MVP level. He's been awesome, actually. He has 19 touchdowns, 4 picks. Sean Payton has completely turned that team around after that 70-point debacle. But I think in an NFL team, it takes maybe that was their wake up game where they got their butts handed to them by Miami.
70 points.
That's what woke them up because Russell Wilson has a 104.3 passer rating. He's completing 69% of his passes. 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's actually been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year, Russell Wilson. So it's pretty nice to see that this is, this is something that, he's been able to turn it around. So I don't see why Denver can't get that last place spot. I think them and the Bills are. I think them and the Bills are the two best teams for competing for that 7th spot. I think they're better than Pittsburgh. I think. I mean, it could be better in Houston, but I don't know. I think Denver's better than Indianapolis. I think they're better than Pittsburgh too. So I don't see why they can't get that last spot.
I mean, I kind of agree. One second. Sorry.
Nice zooming.
Sorry about that. Quick little difficulty. I agree that they could possibly sneak up on that spot, not because Pittsburgh's trash, but because they could definitely sneak up on that spot. The AFC is just looking like it's not as good as we thought it was. It is still like the AFC North is still a very big powerhouse, and there are still some big teams throughout the AFC, but it's not as heavy as we thought it was going to be. It's pretty much looking just like the NFC. Not as heavy as it used to be back in the day, but like you got your teams at the top, and that's pretty much it. It was a good win for Russell Wilson. They needed to win this game. Like it's not even the fact like for their like playoff ranking, but they needed it for morale. They needed it to keep that going. Like
and credit to Denver. 1 of 5, they could have mailed it in. They won 4 straight, so credit to them.
Come on, like yo, like you know what I'm saying, and they needed this win. So as the rest of the season progresses, a loss ain't gonna contain them anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not gonna be like battered anymore. Like, cause I felt like they were playing battered in a way, almost like they just didn't want to play anymore. Like lethargic, all them losses were just killing them. But I feel like with even like the turnaround of Russell Wilson, they kind of like feel it as a team, and they're kind of like, yeah, we can play now. The groove for this team just looks different.
And for Minnesota, you got to still develop a game plan for Joshua Dobbs, because like they're only a game and a half up on the Rams, the Packers, the rest of the NFC. So they still got to win. Like they don't have a cakewalk schedule either. Like they're going to be playing versus teams, who are going to be competing for playoff spots too. So it's like they still have to play. They still have to play the Packers, I believe. They still have to play them. They still have to play I mean, their schedule isn't too bad coming up, but like they get the Bears, the Raiders. Hopefully, they should be able to beat the Bears and the Raiders. But that being said, with Justin Fields playing well, that's not a gimme game. They still have to play the Lions twice too. So, I mean, you got to be a little concerned if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan.
I do agree, but I do think at least this season, if anything, has showed that Kevin Connell is a great coach, a good coach. Who I think a lot of teams
he's pretty good
from. At least Josh Dobbs shows that competent quarterback play. You do have Justin Jefferson returning next week, and it seems like we have a new great duo in Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. The future is bright, and Austin Matheson, I still think there's a ceiling that he can get higher from. So yeah, don't take it lightly, but the Vikings, they could be tough loss for them. Things went a little differently. They could have the win, but they are a team to put on notice, though, as they are in the hunt. Rams and the Seahawks played each other. The Seahawks missed a crucial game-winning field goal. Tough. Geno Smith is hurt, still figuring out his prognosis there. But Matt Stafford came back and had a good game. But we know the Rams aren't going anywhere. It's just the Seahawks. Are they going to go anywhere after this tough loss? Can they bounce back from it?
I mean, I wouldn't say the Rams aren't going anywhere. Like I said, the NFC is so wide open this year. So it's like, there's going to be a couple of teams that are contending. So
true. I just don't see that on basically the defensive side of the ball. Besides Aaron Donald, I think that's
being said, like,
them back.
The Seahawks have to play the 49ers coming up. Like this Seattle schedule is pretty difficult coming up. So
yeah,
like just on paper, I would say that the Seahawks are a playoff team for sure. But that being said, their schedule coming up is pretty brutal. You have to play the Niners. You have to play Dallas. You got to play the Eagles. I mean, they have to play the Eagles, the Niners. They have to. This is their next 4 games coming up. The Niners, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles. Like
that's essentially
that's
playoff teams.
That's a brutal stretch. Like they could be 6-8 after that. So it's like, But then they end the season with like the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals. So you got to win like if you're the Seahawks, you got to get to like
At least two of those
you got
somehow
to
you came
one
out.
at least one of those four, and then you'll be 7 and what are they 6-4 right now?
Yeah, I could even argue you have to
You
win
got
to
to
at
be
least two of them.
you got to be. I would say you got to be 7-7 or 8-6 after those. After
And
those.
one of those
After
games
those.
has to be the 49ers for the divisional and
Yeah.
conference sake. So
Yeah. So it's like I mean I'm just looking at that like. I'm looking at like the Rams schedule. Like it's gonna the Rams schedule isn't too bad. Neither is like the Packers. So it's like these are teams that could make up some ground. Like the Rams play the Rams play coming up. They play the Cardinals, the Browns, the Commanders, the Saints, like the Giants. They're pretty easy schedule coming up at the end of the season. So it really depends who you're playing. Like I think Seattle's obviously a better team than the Rams. What they've shown that they are. Although the Rams beat the Seahawks twice this year, so obviously maybe not, but like so yeah, I mean it's going to be a dog eat dog world in the NFC, but I think the Rams showed me something they can win a close game. I mean Seattle I think is going to still be in it. There's going to be 3 or 4 teams that are going to compete, and it really depends whose schedule is easier.
excellent takes, guy. Excellent takes. So just 2 more games to go. The 49ers and the Buccaneers. 49ers pretty much handled the Buccaneers with a score of 27-14. An expected win, though Baker Mayfield did play well. San Francisco was just the better team. And Brock Purdy specifically, very stellar in a 3-touchdown game. And again, though I was questioned after the 49ers defeated the Jacksonville team that with the return of though I was questioned if they were a Super Bowl contender after Trent Williams and Debo returned for the Jacksonville win. Now I still think this shows even more that they still score points, that they might be the only team that could compete against the Eagles. And as long as everybody stays healthy, which is the key that Bars mentioned, this team can make a return to the Super Bowl in the Shanahan era. I think Brock Purdy, though, if you want to say the jury's out on him, if you want to talk about if he's a top 10 quarterback or not, does make some mistakes here, but with the weapons he has and Brandon Ayuk really turning into a number 1 receiver after being number 2, Debo's still Debo, George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the game, Christian McCaffrey, enough said, and they protect Birdie on offense. Man, you have to be really excited if you're a San Francisco fan.
I mean, yeah, San Francisco on paper is the best team not just in the NFC, but the best team in the league on paper. Well, on both sides of the ball. If I'm just going by talent, that's what I believe. So they proved again time and time again they proved that they can move the ball on offense. I'm not as high on San Fran as other people.
Same.
I don't think they're as good as people.
Same.
I mean, they should be the best team on paper in the league. If I'm just looking at both sides of the ball. But that being said, they kind of have been out of sync a little bit at times this year. But at the same time, they are 7-3. So, I mean, we're going to see what this team's made of when they play the Seahawks and they play the Eagles coming up. So, not really that much to say. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. They should be a team that should compete for the Super Bowl. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. It was nice to see Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's been playing on an MVP level, which is more than what could be said about last year. So,
I pretty much agree with your take, except for Brock Purdy part. But I pretty much agree with your take, like especially the part where you say on paper. Keywords there on paper.
Yeah, that's different. On paper is different than the actual game.
You know what I'm saying? So like that is what it is. They have key factors that if they go down, it's pretty much it for that. Like offense or defense. So it is what it is. But I'm just not sold on Brock Purdy, not yet, and I'm still not sold on their offense fully. Yeah, kudos to Brandon Ayuk breaking out, becoming the number 1. I will say, that it's still very lackluster in my opinion. On paper, they look really, really great. On paper, they look really, really good. And they beat the 49ers. It's nothing to wink at, nothing to call home about. So,
wait, who? Because you just said that they.
Oh, sorry, they played the Buccaneers. It's nothing. To call home about. Like it's nothing to like. It's like it's Baker's not really it for me. He never has been. That defense is starting to dry out. They still got some young pieces, but for the most part, those pieces that were like
I
really
mean,
solid.
hopefully Baker can get that fire back because nobody in the NFC South seems to want to win that division. It's kind of going to be like last year.
Man, y'all got way more faith in Baker than I ever will.
I don't have any faith in him at all, but it's just nobody in that division wants to seem to win it.
Clearly. Jacksonville and the Titans played. Jacksonville won 34-14 after a horrendous shutout against the 49ers the week before. They did nothing but score. And can the Jacksonville Jaguars run the board and be a contender in the playoffs again?
They have to hold off the Texans because they play this week for the division. The 6-4 Texans are playing the 7-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. Which, by the way, if the NFL can, they should flex that game. They should make that game a Monday night game if they can.
I think that's fortunately the deadline is passed for that.
Oh yeah, but I would say if they could, they should flex that game because this week the Monday night game is not exactly great this week. Yeah, the Monday night game is actually the Monday night game actually it's okay actually. The Monday night game is Bears Vikings. So I mean, you're gonna want to keep that because it's a divisional game. But I mean, if there was any way you could flex the Texans and Jaguars who are playing for first place, that would be good. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good game though. I mean, next week to see if they can hold off CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, in my opinion, is the MVP. So they got to hold off the MVP of the league right now. That's who I think is the MVP. I'm gonna say it flat out. CJ Stroud right now.
CJ Stroud, your MVP.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, he's busting.
If they make to the playoffs,
they make the playoffs. If they win the division,
win
the division or make the playoffs, 100% is a lock that he's gonna win MVP. I've never seen a rookie.
Deserve it. He would
I've never seen a rookie quarterback be this good coming out of college, like in his first year. Maybe Cam Newton, maybe Andrew Luck, but I mean, even then,
But he's better
like 350 yards every week.
Remember, he's doing this with a very young team, and his best receivers.
And he has a rookie head coach too, and DeMeco Ryans.
So there you go. So why don't we move on to our picks? So one thing I said is we're gonna do this go through each game, but instead we'll just go through the spreads, and we'll do rapid fire that way. So why don't we start?
I'm not gonna give my score. I'll just give you the spread or whatever.
No worries. Yes, that's even better. So let's give this score. Let's start. This week is Thanksgiving. This Thursday's Thanksgiving. So you have your traditional Thanksgiving games, starting with the Detroit Lions at 12:30 every Thanksgiving. They play the Green Bay Packers. Detroit is opening at -7.5. What's going to happen?
I'm going to give a surprise one here. I'm going to take Jordan Love and the Packers to upset the Lions. I'm going to take Green Bay with the money line.
Ooh, nice bold pick on that one.
What was that one again? Sorry.
Green Bay.
Packers Lions 7.5 is your spread.
Lions all day. I didn't want to play that game.
Actually, I'm going with the Lions as well. I'm going to go with the points there. I think they can win by 10 points in this. Then another tradition on Thanksgiving, the Dallas Cowboys play at 4:30. The Washington Commanders are going to be their opponent. Dallas is opening at -11. I do think at home, again, going off another blowout win and playing against a weaker defense, just like when they were 17 point favorites against the Giants, I think they could do the same as 11-point favorites.
Yeah, I think
the Commanders.
I think Dallas is going to win with the money line, but they won't cover the spread. So I'll go Dallas 30-20. So what's 11, right? So that would be
yes,
I'll take Washington to cover, but Dallas to win.
Yeah, I'm going with that too.
All right. The San Francisco 49ers are playing the Seattle Seahawks for your Thanksgiving evening game. San Francisco's is opening at -7
for the division lead, by the way, because the 49ers are 7-3 and the Seahawks are 6-4.
That's right. So who's going to take the lead in the division, and with the spread being 7 points for San Fran?
I'll take Seattle with the I'll take Seattle with the spread and San Francisco with the money line. I'll go San Fran 26-20.
I'll go the opposite of that and go with the Seahawks.
All right. Now, for the first time ever, the NFL is having a game on Black Friday.
I will be there. So
3:00. The Dolphins are
Enjoy
in town
that.
against the Jets. Miami is opening at -10. For me, I actually think take the money line for Miami, but I think the Jets keep it close.
no, I'm taking Miami with the money line and Miami with the spread. That if I was a betting man, I hopefully not. I hope the Jets win the game, of course. But I mean, I would say be smart and take Miami with the money line and Miami with the spread.
Yeah, same.
If I were telling other people,
money line and spread for Miami.
So we have a bunch of. So we get to Sunday. A lot of rivalry games here. Starting at 1:00, the Steelers and the Bengals play. The Steelers are going to Cincy. Pittsburgh's opening at just a 1-point favorite. Give me the Steelers with the 1 point, and I think they'll be able to defeat the Bengals without Burrow.
yeah, give me Cincinnati. I think it's hard to lose to rookie quarterbacks back to back, no matter how bad your offense is. So give me Pittsburgh with the money line and the spread.
Yeah,
like
I don't know
like 20-17.
I don't know who we got running the offense now. I got to look into that when we're done. Do my research. But I'm gonna also take the Pittsburgh on this one with the spread and the money line.
Jacksonville plays Tennessee. Jacksonville plays the Houston Texans, a big divisional game as well, rivalry game. Jacksonville's opening at -2 on the road. Give me the Texans. They're going to be able to cover that spread and win by a field goal and take the lead in the AFC South.
I'll take Jacksonville for this game with the money line.
Ooh.
I'm going with Matt on this one. The exact same call. I really feel like it's going to be close. Win that one by field goal.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to Lucas Oil Stadium to play the Colts after they return from the bye. Indy is opening at -2.5 without Shaq Leonard. And give me the Buccaneers covering the spread and winning as underdogs here at +2.5.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I got the same thing you got, Matt.
Real quick, why did they get rid of Shaq?
I didn't actually see the reason, but
they just waived him.
Yeah.
Hey,
weird at 5-5. I don't know. I haven't looked into the story, so
if we pick him up, let's get it. All I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers on this one because I've never been solid on Baker Mayfield, but I've also never been solid on Gardner Minshew, and so their offense is a little wishy-washy this year. Definitely gonna go with the Buccaneers on this one because I don't trust the Colts.
Oh my God.
Speechless. Game's getting excited for that exciting.
No, I'm just taking a check. Is Buffalo coming up? We're picking that game pretty soon.
Yes.
Buffalo has 104-point differential and is only 6-5. That's got to be the highest point differential in the history of the NFL to be only 6-5. It's ridiculous how high their point differential is and how they're 6-5.
Yes. So just before we get to that's the 425 game. We're almost done with the ones. We have the Saints and the Falcons. Saints returning from their bye as well. Atlanta's opening at -1 at home. Give me the Atlanta Falcons at home covering the 1 point.
Well, I'm taking those New Orleans Saints in this game. Give me the Saints with the spread and money line.
I'm taking the Saints with the spread and the money line as well.
Might as well kick it. Okay, continuing on, my friends. We have the Giants and the Patriots playing a tankathon game.
Oh, God.
The Patriots are actually your favorites on the road against the Giants at -3. You know what? Just because, give me the Giants. Give me the as the underdog. I think they'll be able to win. And Tommy Cutlets will be more of a folk hero here. He'll do a Jersey Mike's commercial. Everybody will continue to be celebrating the Italians. And I even think they're actually less of a mess than the Patriots, believe it or not. So
yeah, I have Saquon with a big game, And give me the Giants money line and the Giants spread.
Yo, until you said that, like that Danny Cutlet or the whatever, the Cutlets or whatever.
Tommy Cutlets.
I was gonna go with y'all, really was, and then you hit me off with that. Y'all remember Danny Dimes? So we're just gonna. I'm still gonna go with y'all. I'm still gonna go with y'all because I don't trust the Patriots. I don't think Matt Judon is back. No Matt, no problem. So
yeah, my motto. The Panthers are playing the Titans in a boring ass game. Titans are opening at -3.5. Will Levis hasn't been anything special lately. Give me Bryce Young with the second victory of his career, and they're gonna win as underdogs on the road.
Yeah, I'm taking Bryce Young to get his second win too.
I got the Titans. I got Will Levis getting his win on this one in a nice kind of like beat up fashion, kind of blow out the Panthers.
This is a fun spread. The Rams and the Cardinals are playing where the Los Angeles Rams are only half a point favorite. They are half a point favorite. I've not seen that ever in football.
Give me the Rams with the spread and the money line.
Yes, give me the Rams with this money line. Might as well make it even. But anyways,
Cardinals.
Cardinals, okay.
Give me the Cardinals.
The Browns and the Broncos play a crucial game. Important season spot here. Denver is opening at -2.5, and I think they'll be able to cover that spread somewhat easily.
I got Denver covering and Denver money line.
I got Denver taking this. That defense is gonna shake it up a bit, but ultimately I think Denver is gonna win this one.
Sounds good. So we have the Kansas City Chiefs play the Las Vegas Rams at Las Vegas. Kansas City's opening at -9.
The Raiders, you mean?
What did I say? Yes. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City is opening at -9. And give me the Chiefs money line, but the Raiders spread.
Yeah, I'm going with the same you are. Give me the Chiefs money line, the Raiders spread.
Yeah, same thing. Except I'm gonna give the Chiefs the spread.
All right. Coming up next, we have the Baltimore Ravens going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. The Ravens and the
Bills Eagles.
Oh yeah, but we'll do the Chargers Ravens because that's more. The Bills Eagles is more interesting to talk after. So, Ravens and Chargers are playing on Sunday night. Baltimore's opening at -3.5. And I think Baltimore will be able to get that win easily on the road and give me the points there for them.
Yeah, give me Baltimore with the win, but the Chargers with the spread.
Give me the Chargers with the win, actually.
Chargers with the win, actually. Good.
Yeah, I think that Chargers secondary is still pretty good still.
All right, nice test for Lamar Jackson and that offense. The Bills and the Eagles play where the Philly on 425. The The Buffalo Bills are going to Philadelphia where they are 3.5-point underdogs against the 9-1 Eagles. For this, give me the Eagles to cover the points and to get this victory.
Give me the Bills money line for here.
Give me the Eagles. Going to Matt.
I'm taking the Bills. Taking the Bills here.
The Bills. I like the boldness. In our final Monday night game, where the Chicago Bears are going to Minnesota, and Minnesota is opening at -3.5. I think Minnesota will be able to get the victory right away, and they'll be able to cover the points against Chicago.
I'm taking the Chicago Bears in this game.
I'm taking the Bears on this one too.
The Bears should have beat the Lions last week. I have them beating the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and Justin Fields is back. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, you did a great job as always. Happy Thanksgiving. Please enjoy it. Be safe out there. And remember what the holiday is for. So happy Thanksgiving to Bars and Hayden. Happy Thanksgiving to you, the Productive Nation. And we will see you next week and talking about these games and look ahead to week 13.
Real quick, a little PSA for our people out there that are going to be eating turkey and watching football. Have fun, and enjoy yourselves. And always remember to be thankful because there's others out there who just don't have the ability to watch football or eat all that food. So make sure you, I don't know, enjoy that and think about them too. Pray for them or whatever you got to do, but enjoy your holidays.
Yeah, that's a good message, Bars.
You're a real one, Bars. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.